Today we're going to paint some holly berries sprinkled with snow for some nice gift tags or greetings cards with a nice wintry theme. Now for this you could have all different sizes of watercolour paper, gift tag size, or you could paint them on a sheet and cut them up afterwards. So to make a design like this, you notice the leaves are all kind of different shapes, but they are jagged. So the first thing we want to do is put our berries in, and then we'll put our leaves in around. So I've mixed some nice bright red. If your red is a bit pink, maybe put a little bit of orange in it, a little bit of yellow. And I'm going to just start with some freehand circles anywhere in a kind of a nice clump. And then if I want to put one berry next to the other one, I'll just leave a little white gap before I put the other berry in. So I'm going to just show my brush some bright blue, and I'm going to just touch the bottom of some of the berries with a very thin line to get a little bit of shadow where they come into contact with each other. Now that's gone very blue, so I've got a dry brush. I'm just taking a little bit off. With a dry brush. Okay. Now those berries are still wet. So now I'm going to put the leaves in. So I've got some bright green paint. I don't want it too bright. And I'm going to just do this jagged holly shape. Fill that in with my plain green for now. What I want to make sure is that these ends are quite sharp. They're quite random shapes, holly leaves, of the way they bend and curl. So I'm going to take a tiny little bit more blue, and on the underside of the leaves just put a little bit of shading in. Just on, let's say, the left side. It could be so that's quite a harsh line. So I'm going to bring it across. My paint is still wet. And because that line is quite harsh, I'm going to dry my brush on some kitchen roll and just take it across to the other side of the leaf. And this is where you can kind of experiment with your own colours, just to see how that blends. So you can see that's a bit softer. Now they're still very green, so I'm going to take a little bit of yellow. You could just leave them like that, but I'm going to experiment with a tiny bit of yellow. And on the top, just see if I can get a little bit of contrast. So this part of the exercise is about blending your greens, your yellows, your blues together to get a kind of interesting leaf that's not the same colour all over. So I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to get rid of some of these little sort of smudges. Okay. Now this is still wet. So what I was saying about having a number of pieces of paper ready means that we can try another design while this dries. So you might want to, for example, do the traditional 3-leafed holly, which might look something like this. Quite a big leaf. I always fill the line in straight away so that we don't get a hard outline after I've drawn it. One, leave a space. Okay, so now we're going to take our blue to get a bit of shade on the underside of the leaf. It's the same again as we did on the other leaves. You see how my leaves keep growing? So the underside of each leaf. Dry brush to just blend that a little bit, get rid of the hard line. On a piece of kitchen roll to get the brush drier. And then a little bit of the yellow. On the top. You can have loads of fun blending these leaves and get them sort of, you know, quite yellow on the top and quite dark underneath if you wish. Let's just have a go. There's a nice dark blue coming underneath. Just to get a bit more contrast. And that looks particularly nice when you put the snow on, if the leaf is a bit darker. and go back to the other picture. And now we're going to put the branch in. So we want a nice brown for that. You can make that with blue and red and a touch of green. Something quite dark because we're going to put snow on it, and quite thick. I'm going from here and I'm going to stop. Now my berry is more or less dry, so there's not much danger of it running, but just watch that. And it's going to come out here, I think. So again, I want it nice and thick because I'm going to put snow on it. I might give it a bit of another twig coming off. That will do me for now. So I'm going to leave that one and go back to my leaves and add my berries. My leaves are not quite dry, so I'm going to take a risk here. Nice bright red. You don't want too many berries because this is the kind of decoration you see on Christmas puddings and stuff like that. So we're going to just take a couple of really cheery, maybe 3. Something that looks asymmetrical, which gives it a bit of brightness, might make them a little bit. Don't want them too big because obviously they have to be in proportion to the leaves. So I'm going to leave that one. So now we want to add the stems for the to attach the holly leaves because they're floating. So I'm going to just take mine towards the berries on a bit of a curve. I was waiting for my berries to dry before I did this because obviously they would run otherwise. Okay, and now I'm going to put the snow on. This is the last thing to do, and sometimes I think the most fun thing to do. So with white acrylic paint, no water, I'm going to first of all put it on the top of the branch, dab it on, fairly uneven. And then I'm going to just put a little bit on the top of the leaves. I'm going to put it in the darker areas because I think that's where it'll have the most impact. Just dabbing a little bit on. I think the trick is to keep it uneven. Maybe you. Okay, and then just show the tip of your brush to the top of some of the berries. just a tiny amount. Doesn't even have to be every berry. And I think that one would make a very nice gift tag. I'm going to finish off my 3 leaves by just putting a little bit of a stem on to give it a bit of movement. So I'm going to put mine up here. It could come down here, or, oh well, it will go down. Now I'm going to put my snow on, the white acrylic paint. Just a tiny amount. And then again, I'm just going to show a tiny amount to the top of the berries. And there's my second tag completed. I hope you've had fun and you can put some tags and gift cards together and have a really, really happy holiday. This is my last session for 2020. I look forward to seeing you next year, when I hope we all have a much, much better year. Please post your results on my Penny's Painting Facebook page. I'd really love to see them. See you all soon.